Hello everyone, I'm Mr. Haroon. Many of you, I know, love listening to these videos as you drift off to sleep, so before you nod off, I'd appreciate it if you drop a comment to share where in the world you're watching from, and if the story captivates you, please remember to like and subscribe. Alright, let's settle in, get cozy, and immerse ourselves in tonight's case. Story 1, Ohio. To explore the horrific events of the Pike County Massacre, a vicious crime that left a whole community devastated and seeking answers. On April 22nd, 2016, in the early morning hours, a series of killings occurred across 4 homes, a carefully orchestrated murder targeting members of the Logan family. What followed was an intricate investigation delving deep into the shadowy side of rural America. Pike County, Ohio, is a tranquil rural region where the community is tight-knit and life is typically serene. And on April 22nd, 2016, that calm was shattered. 8 Logan family members were found brutally slain in their homes. The victims included 7 adults and a teenage boy, all killed in what appeared to be a precisely planned assault. Christopher Roden Sr., age 40, was a laborer at Big Bear Lake Family Resort in Lucasville, Ohio. He lived in a trailer with his cousin, Gary Roden, 38, who was also his closest friend. Gary was supportive of Christopher's struggles with drugs and alcohol issues. Their trailer was at 4077 Union Hill Road. Dana Manley Roden, Christopher's ex-wife, age 37, worked as a nursing assistant at Hillside School, Nursing Rehabilitation Center in Peebles, Ohio, now closed. They had 3 children together, 20-year-old Clarence, known as Frankie, 19-year-old Hannah, and 16-year-old Chris Jr. Dana, Hannah, and Chris Jr. resided together at 3122 Union Hill Road, about a mile and a half from Christopher and Gary's home. Meanwhile, Frankie and his fiancée lived nearby in their own trailer. Frankie worked at a local sawmill and sometimes helped his father at Big Bear Lake, an avid hunter and fisherman. He enjoyed demolition derbies. Frankie was engaged to Hannah Hazel Gilly, a 20-year-old woman. They had a 3-year-old son from a prior relationship and a 6-month-old baby boy together. Hannah Hazel was known as a devoted mother to her infant son and deeply in love with Frankie. Hannah Mae Roden, a certified nursing assistant CNA, was nearing her high school graduation in May 2016. She had 2 daughters, 2-year-old Sophia from a previous relationship with Jake Wagner and 5-year-old Kylie. Hannah was in a custody dispute with Jake Wagner over Sophia, but Kylie lived with him. Hannah Mae was recognized for her commitment as a mother to her daughters. Chris Roden Jr., a freshman at Piketon High School, had recently gotten his driver's license and lived with his mother, Dana, his sister Hannah, and Hannah's children. Kenneth Roden, 44, Christopher Sr.'s brother, loved motorcycles and had a daily routine starting at 4:30 a.m., commuting to Columbus, Ohio, for work in a utility company. He lived in a camper at 799 West 4th Road, about 15 minutes from the rest of the family. Bobby Joe Manley, Dana's sister, was close to the Roden family. Christopher Sr. had been financially supporting Bobby Joe, who was unemployed. She regularly visited their property at 4077 Union Hill Road to care for their animals. On Friday, April 22nd, 2016, Bobby Joe made a chilling discovery when she arrived at Christopher and Gary's trailer to feed the livestock, as she did every morning. She noticed the dogs outside, unusual since they were typically kept indoors. She also saw Christopher's truck still in the driveway, and he should have been parked. Upon entering, she found Christopher Sr. and Gary deceased inside the trailer. Blood was splattered around the front door. In the living room, furniture had clearly been moved, and a trail led to the back bedrooms, where their bodies lay on the floor, covered by a comforter. The scene indicated they had been severely beaten. discovering her brother-in-law and his cousin's body, Bobby Joe immediately contacted the police to report the tragedy. James, Bobby's cousin, noticed she'd been gone too long. He knew she'd left to feed the chickens that morning, but should have returned by then. He drove to Christopher's home on Union Hill Road to check on her, but upon arrival, he saw Bobby Joe hurriedly leaving her truck. All she could manage to say was, "Something terrible has happened." Concerned, James followed her right away. Bobby drove to Frankie's trailer to warn her of what she'd witnessed. On the morning of April 22, 2016, police were called to Union Hill Road in Pike County, Ohio. Blood covered the house. Never before had this town lost so many to murder. 6 adults and 1 teenager were found executed across 3 properties, all members of the Roden family. At Frankie's trailer, his 3-year-old son answered the door, saying his father had gone out of door. Inside, they found Frankie and his fiancée, Hannah Hazel, lying in bed, covered in blood, with their 6-month-old baby unharmed, but also blood-stained. Fear gripped their hearts. Just minutes earlier, they'd seen the lifeless bodies of Christopher and Gary, and now Frankie and his fiancée were also dead. This was rapidly becoming a nightmare. Bobby had called 911 earlier, knowing police would soon arrive at Christopher's trailer, so she didn't call again. All she wanted was to wake up from this horrific dream. James suggested driving to Dana's house to inform her and ensure her safety. James Manley recalled being off work that morning when he heard something was wrong at the Roden house. His sister, Bobby Joe, had gone there for her daily tasks for Chris Roden Sr. and his family. James described the scene inside the bedroom of Chris's son, Frankie, and his fiancée, Hannah Gilly, where they found the couple's 6-month-old son, Ruger, covered in blood. Bobby stayed with the kids, and James raced to Dana's house. When he arrived, he found the door open. He called Dana's name, but got no response. Moving through the house to Dana's room, he found it pitch dark. After searching, he discovered her on her bed, unresponsive, clearly dead. Terrified and confused, he ran out, unable to re-enter the trailer or face the reality that his cousin was gone, though he heard 5-day-old Kylie crying inside. He quickly went to get his wife and returned. Even then, he couldn't bring himself to go back inside. Fortunately, police passed by on their way to Christopher's crime scene, and they flagged them down. After entering the trailer, police found not only Dana, but also Chris Jr. and Hannah dead in their beds, covered in blood. Hannah's 5-day-old infant, Kylie, lay beside her, her diaper soaked in blood. Thankfully, Hannah's 3-year-old daughter, Sophia, was unharmed, and she was with her father at the time. After discovering these 7 family members, James checked on Kenneth at his trailer 15 minutes away. By 1:26 p.m. that day, 911 received another call reporting Kenneth's body, the 8th victim. Police began investigating to understand what happened. At Frankie and Hannah Hazel's trailer, they found them in their bed, with gunshot wounds to their heads. Autopsies showed Frankie had been shot 3 times at close range, while Hannah Hazel had 5 gunshot wounds to her face and head, with evidence the baby had moved and climbed on her after the attack. Hannah Hazel was found wearing an unfit nursing bra, suggesting she may have been nursing her baby when killed. After removing the bodies for examination, investigators found significant evidence. In the bedroom where the victims were shot, they recovered 5 cartridge casings from Remington brand bullets. Another bullet from a different brand was found near the bedroom door, indicating multiple firearms were used. Dana had 5 gunshot wounds to her head, Hannah May had 2, and Chris Roden Jr. had 4, including 2 to the top of his head. Kenneth Roden was shot once in the right eye, and Gary Roden sustained 3 close-range gunshot wounds to the head. Chris Roden Sr. showed defensive injuries, suggesting a struggle. He had 9 gunshot wounds to his head, torso, and arms, indicating the attack's brutality. The medical examiner determined Gary and Chris Sr. were likely to have been 11 p.m. after April 21st, the night before the Most family members were believed to have been killed while sleeping, with a few exceptions. The murders appeared to be execution-style shootings occurring late on April the 21st into April the 22nd, 2016. Much of the forensic focus was on the property where Gary and Christina lived, a rural area with a trailer, several cars, a cement truck, and a shed. Inside the trailer, investigators found extensive blood spatters, even on the ceiling. Evidence suggested at least one victim, likely Christina, was initially shot in the living room and then moved to the bedroom where they were found. Multiple footprints passed blood through the trailer, indicating a body was moved from the living room through the kitchen to the bedroom. Bullet holes were found in the door frame leading into the trailer and on the walls, suggesting an assailant may have fired from the porch. Investigators recovered bullets and fragments from the living room, bedroom, front porch, and kitchen. Despite Bobby Jones' statement about the recliners in the room, no other signs of struggle were noted. There were repaired furniture, displaced items, and damaged walls. DNA swabs from the doorknob, blood pools, clothing, and bullets yielded no suspect matches. Outside of another building on the property, police found a door with a broken handle, likely force-weapon. A surveillance camera developed with this suspect, with the recording device missing, suggesting the intruders knew how to avoid detection. Additional DNA from outdoor items like cords, cameras, a Mountain Dew bottle, and cigarette butts matched the victims, but provided no new leads. During a property search, investigators found 3 marijuana growing sites across 4 locations. However, the setup suggested commercial purposes rather than personal use, leading investigators to consider a drug cartel connection. In October 2016, police announced a shift in their investigation into the Haroon family murders. Initially thought to be a cartel-style killing, they now suspected an execution-style attack, possibly tied to a local marijuana operation. They also believed the killers knew the area and properties well. Months passed without progress. Despite extensive evidence, blood, bullet casings, and 4 crime scenes, no usable DNA was found. By June 2017, police turned to the Wagner family, George Billy Wagner III, his wife Angela, and their sons George Wagner IV and Edward Jake Wagner. They wanted to know if the Wagners had any information to aid the investigation. Jake Wagner had a history with Hannah Haroon, with whom he shared daughter Sophia. Their relationship began when Hannah was 13 and Jake was 18. After their breakup, they were in a custody battle over Sophia, with allegations of abuse and questions about the paternity of Hannah's younger child, Kylie. The Wagner family allegedly tried to pressure Hannah to relinquish her parental rights to Sophia weeks before her murder. Jake's grandmother, Rita Newcomb, forged a custody document. The Wagners, claiming closeness to the Haroons, said they were devastated and moved to Alaska. As the investigation deepened, police learned the custody battle between Jake and Hannah was more intense than initially thought, dating back to November 2013. Jake pressured Hannah to live with his family to raise Sophia together, but she refused, knowing he wanted control. Jake sent texts demanding she choose to live with him or lose him and Sophia. For months before her death, Hannah and Jake had heated exchanges, which Jake secretly recorded about custody issues. Hannah told Jake he had no right to control her. He claimed he wasn't controlling, but wanted to build a home with her. Their disputes continued for 2 years until Hannah ended the relationship in March 2015, after which she received threats and violence from Jake. In December 2015, Hannah expressed on Facebook her refusal to let Jake have custody of Sophia. This heightened police suspicions. Digging deeper, police found leads. In November 2018, 6 Wagner family members were arrested, accused of plotting and killing 8 Haroons to gain custody of Sophia. Evidence included Angela Wagner hacking Hannah's Facebook and the purchase of new shoes and a truck to avoid detection. They also prepared silencers for the guns and studied the victim's routine. In June 2019, charges against Billy's mother, Frederica, were dropped. She had been accused of lying to the court and hiding bulletproof vests worn during the murders. A major break in the brutal murders of 8 Logan family members in Pike County. Members of one family conspired, planned, executed, and allegedly covered up their violent act to eliminate another family. During trial, they confessed to killing 5 of the 8 victims and being involved in all 8 murders. His cooperation revealed critical evidence, including the truck George Wagner bought full of murder knives and guns hidden in cement blocks. Jake admitted guilt to multiple charges, including conspiracy, burglary, possession of dangerous weapons, evidence tampering, forgery, and more, receiving a life sentence. He claimed he felt compelled to kill Hannah, her brother, father, and uncle to prevent retaliation, and other victims were killed to eliminate witnesses. The Wagners prepared to plan silencers, a phone jammer, and bug detector. Jake admitted using a multi-sport 1911 handgun to kill 5 victims, while his father, Haroon, used a .40 caliber Glock with the others. George, though not physically killing anyone, was implicated in planning, executing, and covering up the murder. He claimed on stand he had no prior knowledge and would never have participated, admitting only to theft. This was later proven false as he received life imprisonment without parole. Angela, initially charged with murder alongside Jake, had her murder charges dropped after confirmation she was staying with her grandchildren during the trial. She was charged with conspiracy, burglary, evidence tampering, forgery, property misuse, and weapon possession, receiving a 30-year sentence and agreeing to testify against her family. After the verdict, Logan family members and friends made emotional court statements condemning the senseless trial. Billy Wagner's trial was moved to 2025, with him denying all allegations despite family testimony. The case involved 3 small children, now safely with family. The custody dispute over Sophia was the driving force behind the planning and gruesome murder of these victims. The surviving children who witnessed their parents' murders will carry the trauma for years. Legal proceedings against the Wagners have been lengthy and complex, with plea deals ongoing. Jake pleaded guilty in 2021 to avoid the death penalty and agreed to testify against his family. Trials for other accused Wagners continue, with the community and nature watching closely. Story 2. Have you heard about the 2022 deaths of 4 students in the quiet college town of Moscow, Idaho, which hadn't seen a murder in 7 years? We'll explore how these 4 bright young lives were tragically taken and the progress toward justice. Our love and respect go to those who knew and loved the victims and all affected by this case. On November 13, 2022, it was a somber morning in Moscow, Idaho. Police discovered 4 University of Idaho students stabbed to death in their apartment. 2 housemates called the police after finding them. The news sparked outrage across Moscow, Idaho, and the nation. After over 6 weeks of investigation, police arrested the 38-year-old PhD student from another university. The case remains in court with a gag order limits public details. We'll piece together available information from the incident to the ongoing investigation. The victims were 21-year-old Madison Logan and her best friend Kaylee Benfall, both seniors at the University of Idaho, 20-year-old Zana Chernobyl, a junior, and her boyfriend Ethan Chapin, a freshman also at college. Kaylee from Aspen, Idaho, was one of 5 children, weeks from early college graduation, majoring in general studies. She planned to move to Austin, Texas, for an IT job, and had recently left the house where she was killed, but returned to go out with her friends. Madison, a marketing major, worked at Mad Greek restaurant where Zana also worked. A According to Madison's dad, Ben Mosen, friend Taylor, were in Chicago since 6th grade. Taylor's mother said the family saw Madison out of the room. Haley and Madison were found on the same day. Zana, also a market manager, lived in Avondale, Arizona, before moving to Post Falls, Idaho. An athlete in high school, she decorated a board with the words, "For the lives that I have changed." Her family described her as positive, funny, and lovable. Her sister, Jasmine Carnegie, spoke fondly of Zana's ability to write at home. She worked at management and was dating Ethan Chapin. Ethan, the only male victim, was part of a triplet set with brother Hunter and sister Maisie from Conway, Washington. He attended the University of Idaho with his siblings. His mother said he was friends with Zana before they began dating. She was spending the night in her apartment after the party when the murder occurred. The tragedy followed a night out. Zana and Ethan attended the party at Ethan's Sigma Chi fraternity. A short walk from the apartment, Haley and Madison went to the corner club, a downtown bar, at 10 p.m. Haley posted Instagram photos with friends that night, captioning, "One lucky girl to be surrounded by these people every day, with a white flight in April." The victims returned home early on November 15th. Zana and Ethan were back by 1:45 a.m., while Haley and Madison, initially thought to have taken an Uber, returned around 1:56 a.m. They were seen on a food truck, Twitch livestream, at 1:30 a.m., ordering food and chatting before heading home. Surveillance footage on ABC News shows them walking to the glove shop, a 6-minute walk from the bar. Police confirmed the man with them was not a suspect. They ordered food around 1:41 a.m., waited about 10 minutes, grabbed their food at 1:51 a.m., and left. Police reports suggest the attack occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. Supported by a DoorDash delivery to Zana at 4 a.m. and her phone activity on TikTok at 4:12 a.m. The victims were attacked on second and third floors, Zana and Ethan in Zana's room, Haley and Madison in Madison. Authorities found them with stab wounds, walls splattered with blood. The other housemates were unharmed. A surviving roommate reported waking from music, opening her door twice. The second time, she heard crying from Zana's room, a male voice saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Opening her door a third time, she saw a masked man, about 5'10" or taller, athletically built with bushy eyebrows, walk past and weave through the sliding door. She locked herself in a room in shock. A neighbor's security camera at 4:17 a.m. captured distorted audio where voices were a whimper, a loud thud, and a barking dog, less than 50 feet from Zana's room. 8 hours later, at 11:58 a.m., a 911 call reported an unconscious person. Police found no signs of a break-in, scuffle, or missing items, leaving them puzzled. Coroner described the scene as dramatic. The Moscow Police Department, with Idaho State Police, Latak County Sheriff's Office, and FBI launched an investigation. Autopsies showed the victims were stabbed multiple times with a large fixed-blade knife, likely while asleep, though some had defensive wounds. No sexual assault or binding were noted. A tan leather knife sheath with the scene later proved crucial. Police initially called the attack isolated and targeted, but later said they couldn't rule out a community threat without a suspect. Heightening student fear, many left campus. The police dispelled misinformation fueling fear. The mayor condemned the senseless acts of violence, and the University of Idaho canceled classes on November 14th, 2022. A candlelight vigil planned for November 16th was postponed to November 30th due to students leaving. Police requested public tips, especially video footage, receiving 15,000 tips in a month. On November 23rd, they investigated claims caused by the stalker who found no evidence. On November 30th, they cleared the survivor roommate. Others at the house found a 911 call. The phone data showed he was near the victim's home multiple times. DNA on the knife sheath and trash from his family's home matched him, excluding 99.99998% of the male population. At his arrest, he wore gloves and placed trash in neighbors' bins. Police found a knife, pistol, and mask at his home. Kohlberger was extradited to Idaho, arraigned in May 2023, and prosecutors announced not since the death penalty. His trial, initially set for October 2023, is now scheduled for June 2025, frustrating families. The house was demolished in December 2023, and the University of Idaho planned a memorial garden awarding posthumous degrees to the victims. Scholarships like the Ethan Smile Foundation honor Zana, Ethan, and Madison. Story 3 sees a husband and father meant to cherish and protect those entrusted to him. Yet, he became the one who ended their lives. Why would a family member succumb to the dark impulses urging him to kill those who killed family? Nothing could stop him until trial, with the terror in their eyes. He had made up his mind. This story reminds us that even an ordinary person can harbor sinister motives, a ticking time bomb waiting to erupt. Our love and respect go to all who know and love the Oda family and those affected. On March 10, 2024, a tragedy struck a quiet Honolulu neighborhood in Noah. Paris Oda, 46, killed his wife, Maroko, and their 3 children, 17-year-old Sokaraka, 12-year-old Orion, and 10-year-old Nana, before taking his own life. Using a kitchen knife, Oda stabbed his family and himself, wiping out the entire Manoa family. Honolulu police investigators concluded this was the second deadliest murder in the city, and many were 25 years. Oda, a chiropractor helping with back and neck issues, had an office near Manoa City. His social media portrayed a calm, peaceful life. But in 1997, as a teenager in Hawaii, he trespassed, getting in trouble while the record was later exposed. When it's in the morning, police received a distress call reporting screams from the house on the lower place. Arriving at 8:34 a.m., officers found no one at the Oda home. They knocked, heard no screams, and asked a neighbor who reported nothing unusual. Thinking it might be a false alarm, they left. The 911 caller number was international, preventing a callback due to system limitations. Officers searched the area, noted their observations, and left following 911. 15 minutes later, the caller turned to end. An officer returned and met the caller. A tenant entered the room from the Otis, visibly shaken. She reported waking between 2 a.m. and 2:30 a.m. to loud, terrifying screams outside her door. Frozen, she saw blood seeping under her door, locked herself in, and later escaped through a window. Police rushed to the scene, finding the front door locked. Through a window, they saw an unresponsive person entering through the back door, looking at Paris Oda in the hallway, dead from stab wounds in the pool of blood. Room by room, they discovered Naoko, Sakurako, Orion, and Nana, who are murdered, with defensive cuts on their hands and wrists, likely dying hours earlier around 2 a.m. to 2:30. A.M. Oda had faced financial struggles. In 2023, he was in deep trouble, confessing to his wife in February 2024 that he hadn't paid taxes for years. He told relatives he'd rather die than go to prison, and even threatened to kill his family and burn their house. In February, he texted Naoko about a plan to end their lives and take their children, believing no one could care for them better. He tried to buy a gun in March, but failed. Despite no prior violence, his feelings of inadequacy and desperation culminated in the tragedy. On a Friday afternoon, Lieutenant Dina Themas of the Honolulu Police Department briefed reporters. She revealed Oda's financial struggles in late 2023, unpaid car, tuition, and loan payments. He confided in a family member about his responsibility to fix it and worked with Naoko to address it, but their troubles persisted. He tried selling a second property in Ayaya, but it didn't help. His chiropractic business struggled, and he drove for Uber to make ends meet. The police found a February text where Oda discussed a plan to end their lives, believing their children would be lost without him. Naoko suggested moving to Japan, but Oda, exhausted, withdrew. His anxiety peaked in March of tax season. He told relatives he'd rather die than face jail or threaten to harm his family. A chilling request for a gun went unanswered, and yet Oda, Paris' mother, said the family struggled to understand what happened, declining to discuss warning signs. A former patient, Martha Randall, was shocked, saying Oda showed no signs of darkness. A neighbor recalled Naoko helping at Oda's place and the family's excitement for Sakurako's upcoming graduation. The community mourned with schools offering counseling. Alani School, where Sakurako studied, had a chapel service. Sacred Charter School and Memorial Elementary supported Alani and Alani's care. Therapist Britt Young advised age-appropriate discussions to help children process the tragedy. A vigil at Worshipful Show honored the older children with a GoFundMe raising $100,000 for funeral expenses. Story 4. On April 18th and 19th, 2004, Gabriel Wortman unleashed a deadly rampage across Nova Scotia, leaving heartbreaking destruction. Over 13 hours, Wortman, disguised in a fake police uniform and driving a replica RCMP cruiser, attacked 16 locations, killing 22 and injuring 3. The tragedy ended when the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, shot him and then killed. Questions arose about why police didn't use the alert mobile system and ignored prior reports of Wortman's violent behavior. An inquiry investigating the police response as families and communities grappled with the senseless violence. The Nova Scotia attack remains Canada's deadliest shooting spree, surpassing the 1989 April Polytechnic massacre. Our love and respect goes away to the news of victims and all affected. The horror of the Diamond Project, where Wortman attacked his partner, Sacred Heart Japan, and forced her into his replica cruiser. She escaped and hid in the woods. From 10:01 p.m., 4 people residents reported gunshots and fires from 911. The first call came from the victim's wife, whose husband was killed protecting their son. Wortman tried to burn their house, but the boys escaped. At 10:05 p.m., he killed a neighbor who mistook him for an RCMP officer. The children sheltered the boy, hiding while on the phone with 911. At 10:10 p.m., 2 neighbors checking the fire passed the house where Wortman killed the couple, noticing a police car with lights on. They saw him setting the house ablaze, and he shot at them, wounding one. At 10:26 p.m., 3 RCMP officers arrived, finding victims who died escaping the helicopter. Overwhelmed, they couldn't locate the shooter. Neighbors identified Wortman heading through the beach in a replica police vehicle. At 11:32 p.m., the RCMP pleaded to get a firearms complaint, urging residents to stay inside. Wortman had left by 10:45 p.m. via a dirt road. He parked behind a welding shop in Bear, 26 kilometers east, leaving police equipment. By 1 a.m., RCMP alerted agencies, identifying Wortman as armed and dangerous. At 5:43 a.m., he drove north on Highway 4 to Wentworth, killing 2 residents and their dogs, spanning 3 hours. Police found his partner, who confirmed his disguise, and provided a photo. A BOLO alert was issued at 8 a.m., and Wortman was named the suspect at 8:54 a.m. He set the Wentworth house on fire, killed a neighbor, and continued south, killing another victim on Wentworth Island. Entering home, residents recognized him and refused entry. By 10 a.m., he killed drivers and passengers, endeavored and arson. At 10:17 a.m., RCMP warned via Twitter of his police impersonation. At Onslow Belmont Fire Hall, RCMP officers mistakenly fired on an emergency officer, thinking he was Wortman. Surveillance caught Wortman in Truro at 10:20 a.m. At 10:25 a.m., he changed to a reflective vest in Millbrook First Nation. Before 10:49 a.m., he shot and injured RCMP officer Chad Morrison. At Route 224, he killed Officer Heidi Stevenson, stole her sidearm, and set their vehicles ablaze. He killed a motorist who stopped to help, stole her SUV, and later killed a woman at her Shubenacadie home, stealing her Mazda 3. At 11:26 a.m., RCMP officers fatally shot Wortman at an Enfield service station. He killed 22, including Stevenson. 13 died in Portapique, 4 in Wentworth, 2 in DeBere, and 3 in Shubenacadie. Wortman, a 51-year-old denturist, owned properties and had a $2.1 million estate. He had a 2002 assault conviction and property disputes. Witnesses described him as paranoid and controlling, with pandemic-related fears. He collected police souvenirs and restored cruisers. Despite prior reports of violence, police took no action. The investigation spanned 50 kilometers, 16 locations, and 5 structure fires. A psychological autopsy labeled Wortman an injustice collector. He used illegal firearms, including a Ruger Mini 14 and a stolen Glock 23. The RCMP's failure to use Alert Ready and reliance on social media drew criticism. The 2023 inquiry report criticized RCMP's response, recommending stricter gun control and a revamped alert system. Story 5. Andrea Yates, a woman with severe mental health struggles, led to a tragedy which shocked the nation, raising questions about mental health and law. Our love and respect go to those who knew and loved the victims. On June 20th, 2001, Houston, Texas, was shaken by Yates's confession to drowning her 5 children, Noah, John, Paul, Luke, and Mary, in their bathtub. This act highlighted her battles with postpartum depression, psychosis, and schizophrenia. Born July 3, 1974, in Houston, Yates was the youngest of 5, with German and Irish heritage. Despite teenage bulimia and depression, she excelled, graduating as valedictorian from Milby High School in 1982. She pursued nursing, graduating from the University of Texas Health Science Center, working at MD Anderson Cancer Center from 1986 to 1994. In 1989, she met Russell "Rusty" Yates at Sunscape Apartments. They moved in together, married in 1993, and as devout evangelicals, valued large families. Their first child, Noah, was born in 1994. After moving to Florida and back to Houston, Yates's mental health deteriorated after their 4th child, Luke. In 1999, Rusty found her shaking and chewing her fingers. She attempted suicide, was hospitalized, and prescribed antidepressants. Her condition worsened with more suicide attempts and hospitalizations, leading to a postpartum psychosis diagnosis. Dr. Eileen Starbranch warned against more children, but Yates and Rusty had married in 2000. After her father's 2001 death, Yates stopped medication, self-mutilated, and read the Bible obsessively. On May 3rd, 2001, she nearly drowned her children but stopped. On June 20th, 2001, alone against medical advice, Yates drowned her 5 children. She silenced John, Paul, and Luke, laid them in her bed, drowned Mary, and chased Noah, who tried to flee. She called 911 calmly, then Rusty, urging him home. The tragedy sparked debate on mental illness and legal standards like humanitarian rule. At trial, despite expert testimony on her psychosis, Texas law required proving she couldn't discern right from wrong. In 2002, Yates was convicted of capital murder, sentenced to life with parole eligibility in 40 years. In 2005, Her conviction was overturned due to false testimony from Dr. Park Beats. In 2006, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity and committed to North Texas State Hospital, later transferred to Kerrville State Hospital in 2007. Yates believed her children's death would save their souls. Russell's decision to leave her alone, despite medical advice, contributed to the tragedy. He later divorced Yates, remarried, and divorced again. The case underscores the need for a better mental health awareness and support. Story 6. A morning of utter horror unfolded when an entire family was found strangled in their quiet home. As police investigated, ignored warning signs pointed to one person intimately close to the victim, capable of killing without moving a step. On May 5th, 2009, in Columbia, Illinois, police entered a house of horror. Sherry Coleman, 31, was found lifeless in her bed, a rosary clutched tightly. Nearby, her sons, 11-year-old Garrett and 9-year-old Gavin, were strangled, their beds undestroyed. Detective Justin Barlow received a call at 7 a.m. from Chris Coleman at the gym, unable to reach his wife, Sherry. Barlow conducted a welfare check, finding Sherry with ligature marks and a black eye, indicating a struggle, but the boy's death was swift. Spray-painted messages, punished, and you knew this was coming, adorned the walls. One boy defaced with paint. Chris, a former Marine and Joyce Meyer's bodyguard, seemed part of a perfect family, but in November 2008, threatening emails targeted Chris Meyer and her son, demanding she stop preaching. In January 2009, a letter in Chris's mailbox threatened his family's death. Sherry, shaken, feared the threats were closing in. On May 5th, Chris called Sherry from the gym. Then Barlow, for a welfare check. Police found an open basement window and spray-painted messages. Sherry had texted a friend weeks earlier, saying if anything happened to her, Chris was responsible, citing his desire for divorce. Investigation revealed Chris's affair with Sarah Vince, Sherry's high school friend. Explicit photos, videos, and plans for a future with Sarah were found on his computer. The threatening emails came from his computer, and paint used on the walls was bought by Chris. Forensic analysis showed Sherry and the boys died before Chris left for the gym. His lack of reaction, sitting on the lawn, not asking about their deaths, raised suspicion. Scratches on his arm and unwrapped gym mat added to the evidence. On May 19th, 2009, Chris was arrested, charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. The trial in April 2011, jurors found photos proving his affair began earlier than planned, contradicting his timeline. On May 5th, 2011, Chris was convicted and sentenced to life without parole. Appeals failed, and in 2012, Sherry and her son's bodies were reburied at her home island. Chris remains in prison, insisting on his innocence. As the rain falls gently and the night deepens, thank you for joining me. That must be nightfall. True crime stories remind us of life's most